Are you overly independent? Do you find it hard to ask others for help? Have you gotten so used to doing everything on your own that you just don't reach out to others? This can be a form of hyper-independence. Sometimes after trauma, we can develop this because we fear opening ourselves up to other people again, because we fear being hurt. It's kind of a defense mechanism against the world. We've been abandoned by so many people that is it not just easier not to let anyone else in again? It's not just easier to do it on our own. My name is Angela Cleary. I'm a feminine empowerment coach and I specialise in healing after narcissistic abuse. So hyper-independence is a trauma response. It actually develops after we've been hurt so much. And I think I have a little bit of it myself. We get to a stage where we have been hurt so much in the past that we've been, abandoned, let down by others consistently, that we fear to open up again. We've had to maybe walk away from certain situations, certain people, certain environments for our health, for our well-being. But this will trigger in us a rejection and abandonment wound. And for me personally, that's what it did. It doesn't matter if you walk away from somebody toxic, or if somebody leaves you, or somebody rejects you, it's still going to trigger that rejection and abandonment wound. And that happens for me. I've had to walk away from so many people, and my abandonment wound was triggered every time because it was like, why does everyone leave? So I've gotten to a stage now where I keep everyone at arm's length, because it's not just easier to do everything on my own, and it's not just easier not to ask anyone for help, because then they can't come into my life and they can't hurt me. This is what it is like, and we don't even realize this. I'm all for independence. Independence is so fucking important with yourself and within a relationship. We've from trauma and from childhood trauma, from toxic relationships, we've developed codependent tendencies. So we end up latching on to people too much. And this doesn't even have to be romantic. This can be friendship, family members. We end up being codependent on somebody else, and that ends up fucking our health up. And, I had to walk away from my dad as well, because I ended up becoming codependent on helping him rather than helping myself. My physical and mental well-being went to shit. And that was the last time I walked away from anyone. Before that, I walked away from a group of really good people, friends, because one of them had narcissistic traits and I had to leave. And all of this triggered my abandonment wound. But ever since, I've been on an intense healing journey alone. And I keep friends now at arm's length. I keep everyone at arm's length. If I am going through my shit, I go through my shit. I'm my own therapist. But this can be very lonely, to be honest, because when we don't, somebody said this triggered me actually last year. Somebody actually said people want to help. And I was like, do they? I want to help. But it was actually like, oh, do people want to help me? And I know that sounds weird. It was just like, I hate asking people. This is my whole life, really. I hate putting my shit on anyone. Even though I love helping others, and I never think of anyone being a burden. I want to help you. Give me all your stuff so I can help you. But when it comes to my stuff, I just do it myself. I don't offload on anyone. I don't tell anyone what's going on, because it's easier. You know what I mean? It's easier. It's easier not to let anyone else in. And that's the way it's an unconscious thing that I'm starting to work on. Because I don't ask people for help, and I don't confide in people. And it's very rare time that I will speak to my friends about what I'm going through. Because I'm on a roller coaster. This healing journey is up and down and sideways. So there's more often than not, I have stuff that I need to speak about, but I don't speak to anyone about it, because if you don't let people in, they can't hurt you. And this is what I discovered with my hyper independence. It's not just a fear of, letting somebody in or somebody hurting me. I actually have a wall up that I'm actually afraid to be loved. I realized the other day this hyper independence is leading me to have a one-way system in my heart. My heart is wide open to give love, but there's that door stopping it from coming in. And this is a side effect of hyper independence. Do you know, this is a side effect of that trauma response. You know, we get so used to, like, this is it, like, you know, we've lost ourselves so completely to romantic relationships, toxic ones, or family members that we become codependent on. And this fucks us up. It really freaks us out. And it's like, if I don't let anyone else in again, they can't steal my essence again. They can't steal who I am. But in actual fact, like, we can end up being codependent on family members after toxic relationship breakdowns. And that's what happened to me and my dad. That relationship became volatile because it was just so unhealthy. He was stealing my life force energy, and it was just draining me of every single thing I had. And I think since then, that's when I completely shut down. Like, after that, my walls went up higher than they have ever been in my whole life. You know what I mean? And that was both doors, even the one-way system. And as I was healing throughout the last couple of years, I'm open again to give love. But there's still that wall. It's, as I said, it's a one-way system because of my hyper-independence, because I fear letting anyone else in, because I don't want to be hurt again. And that's it. Like, when you're hurt over and over again, when you've had to make such hard decisions in your life, when you had to walk away from anyone and everyone that you had in your physical circle, it gets to a stage where if I don't let people in, I can't be hurt again. And that's it. Like, you know what I mean? I'm afraid to get too close to anyone, and that's friends, or, you know, friends especially, because it scares me. You know, I in past friendships as well, I used to put my all in, and a lot of the times I wouldn't get the same treatment back. You know, I would be over giving, and they wouldn't be as into the friendship as I was. Do you know, that's codependency as well. But, like, you know, I put so much effort into caring for others and my friends, my family, and everyone, you know, ex-partners. Do you know, and I never got the same treatment back. And it's not, I don't give to receive. I do not do that. That's not what I'm trying to say. But now that I have had to walk away from all these people, it's just like, I'm afraid. I'm afraid to let that stuff in again. I feel like I have to do everything on my own. And, like, this is another kind of a toxic response. We're so afraid of becoming codependent on anyone again that we literally decide not to let anyone into our lives. And that's scary. That is scary, because it's lonely. Like, this is one thing that's triggered me a few times. Humans aren't meant to be alone. And don't get me wrong, I fucking love being alone. I love my solitude, I love my peace, I love my independence, I fucking love it. And yes, humans should learn how to be good at being alone. But it's lovely to share your life with somebody. You know, and that doesn't even have to be romantic. It's lovely to share happiness. And that's one thing I love about being around friends, is that their happy is my happy, and my happy is their happy. And that's great, like, you know, especially if you're in the right friendships. You know, you're buzzing off them, they're buzzing off you. You're both lifting each other up, so you're both fucking high as a kite afterwards. Do you know what I mean? That's real friendship. That's real connection, right? But, like, you know, a lot of the times, the people I've had to walk away from have depleted my energy, have drained my energy. And that's it. I'm just so afraid of choosing the wrong people again. And I know I've healed enough that I'm not going to attract narcissists. I know this. But, like, it's just, it's this thing. It's like a cage that I have. That it's like, if I stay in this box, no one can fucking hurt me. But yet I'm hurting myself. When we don't allow love into our lives, we're hurting ourselves. That's painful. And, like, you know, I try to avoid the truth sometimes. Like, I'm very introspective. I will look at everything I feel. But when it comes to my independence, I never admit the toxic side of it. Do you know what I mean? I never admit that I might be a little bit lonely, or that I want to let love in, or that I need to let love in, or that I need companionship. And I hate using those words because it need. I don't want to need anyone. And that's it. I don't want to have to depend on anyone again. And this is the thing though, when we're in friendships and relationships, it shouldn't be scary, because we shouldn't be like, we're not going to be dependent on that person for our happiness. This is the most important thing. We have to understand that we can be independent within relationships as well. We can control our independence healthily within relationship. And that's a lovely thing to be aware of. We might be afraid to let stuff in. We might be afraid to become codependent again. But we're aware. We're aware of it. And this is stuff that we need to heal. That codependence stems from that wounded inner child. That needing to be loved. And that's the thing when it comes to my independence. I don't like to admit these things. That maybe I do need it, or maybe I do feel that, I hate saying need, but maybe I do want it, and I have to get to a stage where I'm strong enough in myself to own my independence within relationships, friendship or romantic or otherwise. I need to, and I do, and that's the thing, I'm able to handle, as an empath, we take on energy. And it can be very depleting when you're unhealed. And literally, you go shopping and you're fucked. You're online for too long, you're fucked. If you're around the wrong people for too long, you're fucked. You're literally fucked. You're drained. You're just gone. And you need time to recharge. So when you're around right people, it's different. But as an empowered empath, I'm able to protect my energy now. So I can go out in crowds now again, and I can be online again. And I get a little bit tired, but I don't get that energetic depletion. So I can control it. So I know that I'm strong enough now that, for friendships or relationships, I'm not going to become codependent or needy again. And I know this, but why am I still afraid to let that wall down, to open that door, to let love in? Because when we don't let love in, it's not just romantic love, it's all kinds of love. Love is the thing that makes this world go round. So love comes in all shapes or forms. It can come in just abundance, opportunities, experiences, goals, people, places, everything. This is what it is. You're literally attracting in that love. But if you've got a closed heart space, you're not going to be able to attract that in. You're not and that's literally keeping you stuck. And this is it. It is better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all. So even if you have love or friendship for 2 seconds, it's something, and that's what I love. I love sharing life with people, but yet with this heart block and this fear of losing my independence again is keeping me stuck, and that's it. We need to start becoming aware of whether or not our independence is hyper or regular. And I'm an advocate for independence, because with narcissistically abusive relationships, with traumatic childhoods, we become so codependent and unhealthily attached to other people. So with healing the inner child, we can prevent that codependency. But why is it then we're still afraid to ask for help? Why do we get so independent that it's literally the biggest fear we have is losing ourselves again to another person? We literally just block everything off. We don't let anyone else in, because it's if they don't come in, they can't hurt me. But the thing is, when we heal, no one can hurt you without your permission. So if you've healed your inner child, somebody else's actions shouldn't affect you. Do you know what I mean? And this is the importance of it. We need to come back to this. Come back to our heart. Come back to our wounded inner child. No one can hurt you without your permission. And the stronger we get, the less likely we will react to somebody else's actions. So we should have more faith in ourselves that we will not relapse again. That we will be aware of any codependent tendencies. That we will be aware of any toxicity. So think about that. If you're so independent, that means you're strong. That means you're resilient. That means you can do life on your own. This is powerful. So why don't we believe in that inner strength for us to allow people in? Because it takes power and strength to break down our walls and be vulnerable. It really does. You know what I mean? It's actually weakness and pain and trauma and unhealed wounds that make us close off, that make us fear vulnerability. But vulnerability is a superpower. It actually takes great strength to allow people in and to know that they won't hurt you, or you won't allow their behavior to hurt you. So use your strength and your independent energy to trust yourself. To trust yourself to break down those walls and let people in. Because you're strong enough now. You're strong enough to be aware of any codependent tendencies, of any, unhealthy, toxic patterns. You have gotten this far on your own. So, aren't you strong enough to let people in now? So let's use our hyper independence to actually make us more open to love, to make us believe in ourselves again, to make us have the strength to know that we won't repeat our past cycles, that we won't let people into our lives that will hurt us, that we will be aware of who we're letting into our lives. So let's use our hyper independence as a superpower rather than a weakness. Let's use it to open our hearts and be strong enough to be vulnerable. Because this is what it is. We're strong enough to be independent. Let's be strong enough to be vulnerable. Let's be strong enough to open our hearts. And let's be strong enough to ask for help and let people in. Let's use this as a superpower and not a weakness. So thank you so much for listening today, and I really hope this resonates. If it does, please like and share, and please subscribe to my channel so I can reach as many people as possible. And if you'd like help on your journey, please book me for a discovery call today, and I would love nothing more than to help you on your path.